Hello and welcome back to Practical React. Tonight we're going to be doing part 3 of integrating push notifications into a PWA. I suspect this will be the last part of the series. Let's see what our plan is. First, we need to create a route to accept the subscription object that was created in the browser. I'm gonna call it PushSubscribe. The second part is the second task rather, is we need to create a service call to push that subscription to the server. Also, I'm gonna stub out a couple of methods to save it for the purposes of this particular part of building. I'm just going to save it to the file system and read it from the file system. I've got a database set up, of course, but I'm not going to be getting into that this evening. And then finally, we're going to test sending this message using another endpoint. So I'm going to create another endpoint called push_notify, and I'm going to curl it to see, it's going to have a parameter of message, and we're going to curl it with a message to see if it pops out the other end in the browser. So let's get to it. Alright, so first things first, I need a new route. So we'll go to my API project here, routes, handlers. Let's see, we'll start with the route. Okay, remember this push module from part 2 if you watch that. And by the way, I'll leave links to part 1 and 2 in the comments below. Let's see. Alright, so we are going to create another route. Call this push subscribe. Alright, this is going to be a post method, and we're going to call the path push subscribe. There we go. Alright, for now this will be no authentication, just like the other. I am going to plug all this into where you have to be logged in to do this, since this is going to primarily be for order updates and stuff like that, so it won't make sense for it to be anonymous. Anyhow, we don't have a handler created yet, so we're going to jump over to our handlers file and do that real quick. So you'll see here I've got my routes folder and my handlers folder. Let's see. Alright, we're going to call this push subscribe as well. That's the handler. Let's empty the guts out. We'll get rid of that while we're at it. Okay, guts. So what do I need to do? I need to inspect the request. Actually, there's going to be a payload. So I need to pass that payload over with the handler and give it a name. Let's see, it's been a while since I've done that, so I guess I'll be looking to see how I have that set up for my user here. Let's see. Right, okay, so alright, so you see in Hapi, which is the framework I'm using to build this API out, there's a validate object, and it has a payload as well as a fail action. If I recall correctly, the fail action has to do with what happens if the validation fails, which might be obvious, but nevertheless. Alright, so we're going to take that, copy it, we're going to paste it over to this push subscribe route that we're building here. Oh, whoops, that's not gonna work, son of a. Okay, alright, and so I can go up here and import that push subscribe function there. Okay, alright, so you see my payload here is using enjoy object to define itself. Enjoy, we probably haven't talked about joy. Joy, JY, is it originally started as Hapi's built-in validation library. It's been split off, it's separate now, so it's available for use in other projects. It's a particular interest to me also in terms of UI. I will leave a link so you can read more about Joy as well. Suffice it to say though, that is going to be coming out of my utils. Alright, fail action is in utils and then Joy, okay. Right. And you'll see here, so I've got all my validators in another project. And in particular structured as such, so domain.user is going to be the name of the function I want to call, which I'm going to inject this Joy object into, and it's going to return a validation schema that this Joy object is going to contain, and that'll be what validates my payload. So let's go and look at, actually was not planning for that, but let's go ahead and look at that. So that is in CC Common. Let's see if that's part of my workspace yet. It is. Okay. So in CC Common, you will see oh, I'm sorry, it's not in CC Common, my fault. CC Core. CC Core. TS schemas, there we go. Okay, so you see, for example, like my user schema here. It's a function called schema, and it's taken a Joy library object, which is getting injected in. I'm doing that for a couple reasons. The first is so I can use this in the browser, just the same as I can use it here. And if I recall correctly, I feel like I was getting an error if I just tried to import it straight into this. So that's why I'm injecting it via a parameter. Anyhow, so that's the general lay of the land here. You see, you have a property, and you can describe the property as such. And so we are going to, I'm really only sending an endpoint. That's all I'm going to send, but I'm going to grab all this. And this is some other fancy stuff down here you can do. You see I have it commented out for now. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not, but it's a really good, it's a really robust, let me say it that way, really robust validation system. It works somewhat different than than like a UI validation system, in the sense that there's not, in UI there's the sense that, you know, you're gonna validate, you potentially could validate each property as it's changed by the user. This doesn't natively support that, to my knowledge. So there might be some things that would have, if I wanted to use it in the browser, there might be some things that I have to consider. Anyhow, let's build a validation schema for, we'll call it PushSubscription Endpoint. No, that's not verbose at all, is it? Okay. Great. I don't need almost any of this. Let's get rid of it. Great. There we go. Okay, so it is going to be a string. It is, I don't know if it's going to be alphanumeric or not. I'm going to, it is required. I'm not sure about the min-max on that. I would have to look into that. Should I do that now? No. Alright, we're just going to say it's required and that it's a string. Right now I can't think of any reason why it should be more robust than that. So we're just going to leave it at that. Okay. So that means that I now have my validator for my PushSubscription endpoint. So we're going to go back to, actually real quick, I need to make sure that core is getting built that project is linked and getting built whenever I trigger a build for my API project. So let's look at my package real quick. All right. And core is not on there. It doesn't look. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it is. Okay, so that will get updated. Okay, good. So no issue there. Okay, and this is going to be called PushSubscription Endpoint. I probably need to add it. Yeah. All right, so this index file it controls what gets exported. Probably if you've done much Node.js, you know that already. Schemas. I guess I should call it endpoint just to be. And that means I'm going to have to update my type script to PushSubscription Endpoint. Types.d.ts. So I know usually your TypeScript definition file is called index, but what I've noticed is that causes problems when I'm importing or linking this project to another project. It seems to want to try to pull in index.d.ts in place of any other index file I might be using code-wise. So it seems to get confused about that. So I've renamed it to types for that reason. Anyhow, let's see. I actually don't see this. User login. I guess I don't have that typed. I don't know how I feel about that. And it's obvious I don't have it typed now I've looked at it. It really should be typed, shouldn't it? Though I have to admit, I haven't had success importing typed objects into other projects. It doesn't seem to work exactly the way I would have hoped. Anyhow, we're gonna leave this for now, just as it is. So now we have created a validation schema for my PushSubscription endpoint, which is going to flow in through my API. I've added it to my index for my core project, so we are going to say that's good enough for the moment and move forward. I can close this. Okay, so we are back in my push routes. So let's go ahead and change this domain user route. Let's go with domain.PushSubscription endpoint. All right, and I need to add that. No, I don't. It's good like that. Okay, make sure I got that right. Core. Yep, that's right. PushSubscription endpoint. Okay. Great. Fail action, that's fine. Okay, and this fail action is something I'm using in all my validation routes. At least that's what I'm trying to do. For logging and returning, it's going to have different behaviors in like a dev environment versus a UAT versus a prod environment, but I'm going to handle that later with maybe an IOC or maybe just a switch case statement. I'm not sure yet, but at any rate, having that explained, okay, so we got our object set up to validate. It's just looking for an endpoint. Do I really need to make that object? Is it going to come across as an object, or is it going to come across as a property? This I'm not sure about. We're going to leave it this way for now, and we'll certainly get an error if something does not work as expected. Okay. Yeah. Alright, so moving back to our plan. Okay, so we have created a route to accept subscription object. Okay. Now we need to create a service call for the client. So I keep all my service calls in a project called front core, and I've really just started building this out, so there's not much to it right now. I'm sure it'll be more there'll be a greater structure as I go, but for right now this is fine. And what are we going to call this? Save push subscription. Alright, and my response is probably going to be a Boolean. That's what I suspect. Alright, and so now we are going to, oh wait, yes, we need this endpoint. Okay, so we're going to pass in the endpoint as a string, and we are going to post. See, that's what, yeah, I need to look and see why my TypeScript, my types aren't coming through right. I'm going to have to study up on that, because this Axios type, of course, came through just fine. There's something I'm doing wrong, so I'll have to look at that. Okay, and so that being said, we're going to set our URL, and I think I can just do it like this, endpoint. Okay, so my URL is going to be PushSubscribe. It doesn't care for that argument. Did I spell it wrong? Oh, I see what I did. Okay. There we go. Alright. This is getting a little long here, so let's break it. Okay, so now I have a method called save push subscription. We should be able to wire that up, and exactly where we're going to wire it up is back in push registration. Okay, and so if you recall in push registration, we are requesting and hopefully getting an acceptance to have push notifications pass through our PWA. And so what we need then is, you see in this, so this promise here is awaiting the object that's going to be returned from this subscribe method from the push manager. So when it returns, we're going to have a promise, and we are going to do something with that. We are going to save that to the server, and so I need to import that. Yeah, you see my casing is not good here. Okay, save push subscription, great. Okay, so now here we are going to do that very thing. We're gonna keep logging here, just so I can make sure of what's coming through for now. All right, and then we're also going to save push subscription. Gosh, I don't have that open anymore either. I don't remember. I think it's d.endpoint. I think that's right. And I think I'm gonna let this I think I'm gonna let this be silent for now, meaning that there's not gonna be any further notification that this worked. I haven't noticed that before when I've subscribe to push notifications. I don't think there would be any, maybe if there's an error, but I am not super concerned about that right now. And it's going to catch anyway, so I'll have to do something for catching later that's not really in scope here, so we'll run it. And if this works, then we should see something come through our API. Oh, whoops, I need to close this. But I don't think I've set anything up, logging or anything like that, so I need to go back here. In fact, I haven't done anything, right? Because I want to look at the request. Assuming that it goes through, it might get trapped in validation, but we'll get a response back in the UI for that in the console. So actually, you know what? I can be a bit more proactive here. If I look and see what I did here for my create user method, request.payload is what I need to be looking at. Right, okay, so we're gonna look at request.payload. Okay, great. And so I'm expecting my payload to be a JSON object with a single property called endpoint, and it should have the endpoint value that is returned from that push subscription. So let's have a look, see if we're right. We'll build here. I need to build this first. So I'm going to do this. There. Okay, so issue the command to build the API server and clear all this. Okay, and I have this set and ready. The other thing I need, right, I need my my parcel server running as well. Front web. Okay, so now I should npm run parcel dev, and that should fire up. Yep. Okay. Nope. Validate is not allowed. Well, it can really only be coming from one place, right? Let's see. Init, lodash. And it's 68. Okay. That's clearly not truly where the error is originating. It's clearly originating in my handler. I'm sorry, not my handler, my route. Here. Why is validate not allowed there? And let's verify. Let's just comment it out. Make sure I'm right about this. I wonder if Alright, you can see that did in fact work. So I've got another issue here. We'll go back and look at this one more time. Oh, okay. See, I didn't put it in the right spot. It needs to go in options. It needs to go here. Okay. So validate should go in the options object. Alright, that should fix that. I am really bothered about this thing just picking whatever the fuck port it wants. It doesn't make any sense to me. Just in case. I don't want to have to keep switching ports again. I have to figure out what is going on with my config and why that's not working right now, but again, not in scope. So we're just going to assign it a hard code of 3001, and we are going to go back and rebuild it. And with that in mind, I need to go back to my front core project for where all my API calls are and update this. Okay. Let's make sure that built. It is running on 3001. Yeah, so it is in fact what I thought. Some reason my host port and address aren't right, and it has something to do with my config, which I am probably not going to show you right now. We probably don't know each other well enough for that. Okay. So that is working. We're going to close this for now. And let's go back to terminal and let's rebuild the front side of the project, and we'll await. Okay. Alright, looks like it is done. So let's scoot over to Chrome, open it up. Okay. And so what I need to do now is block push notifications, or I'm sorry, ask. There we go. Yep, we're gonna reload. Okay, and so now what should happen, if it works the way I think it will, is two things, right? In this console, we're gonna verify that I got my endpoint right. In the other console, I'm sorry, in the terminal, we should see some output from the API window to verify that it came through, or we'll also potentially see an error in either the terminal or the console along the lines of validation. So let's have a look and see what happens. Okay, I was right about there being an endpoint property. I don't see okay, I don't see an error. Maybe that's good. Let's run over here and have a look. It says username is required. That is a little sketchy. And why I didn't get a rejection. Okay, so let's look at a couple things here. Okay, so it says push subscription endpoint, push subscribe. Okay, why would that be? That's so weird. Let me just go back and check core. Oh, it's not weird. It's just perfect. All right, it's running again. So we're gonna run over here. I'm using the word run so much. Change this back to ask, and yeah, we're gonna reload. And yes, we are going to allow. Okay, good. All right, so now we got back an internal server error. Okay, let's see what that error looks like here. Oh, well, that would be really helpful if I returned a value, wouldn't it? Okay. Okay. Did it? It did log the payload though. Okay, so you see, this is good. This is good. I have no idea how long it is. I guess we could count it. Anyway, so we're gonna do this. Let's just return. Okay, okay, cool. All right, so that should clear that error up. We're gonna assume then that we're good so far. So now what we need is a real quick save method. And like I said before, I'm just gonna do this with, I'm just gonna do an fs call or a file system call to save it here locally. I don't even care where it gets called or where it gets saved at this particular point, because wherever it's saving is going to be, I think, where it default reads from. And for the purposes of this video in this particular context, for right now, that should be just fine. So we're going to go ahead and import fs from fs. All right. And so knowing that we have a payload, we're going to do this. We're going to go fs.WriteFileSync, which is a blocking process, which is fine for this. We are going to name it something. What are we going to name? We're going to name it endpoint.text. And all we're going to put in there is request.payload.endpoint. And so that literally should just write a single value. Okay. All right, let's rebuild the API server. Taking a long time to rebuild. Okay, there it goes. All right, I could have been doing this in the meantime. I will try to be more efficient. All right, allow. All right, no errors. Okay, great. Okay, so, but we don't know. Let's do this. Let's check the root directory of, look, there it is. So if I do this, vi cc happy endpoint text, look, there it is. That's perfect. All right, let's see if I can get the hell out of here without breaking anything. Great, done. Okay, so we have that much in place. Let's go back and look at our plan. Okay, so we have saved it to the fs for now. We need to, okay, right, we need to be able to retrieve it, but we're going to do that in our final endpoint for this, which involves testing whether we actually can send a push notification using this endpoint. There's some other things that we're going to need that I didn't think about while I was planning this, but I can grab that real quick. We have to go back to the web push documentation, and there's some other information that needs to go with that send notification, a particular structure, so I'm gonna have to review that, but nevertheless, so we're gonna get started with our endpoint, push notify. Okay, so we're gonna go back to our routes, our push routes here. We're gonna create another one called push notify. All right, that looks good. You know, why am I not just copying this? I messed that up. There we go. All right. Just to make it simple, I don't know if I've ever posted from a curl, so I'm not gonna open that can of worms right now. What do I want to call this again? Push notify. Okay. Yeah, all that's fine. This part is not. We are going to do this. We're going to do joy.string. It's not going to be in the payload though. It's going to be in the query string. I'm going to end up making this more complicated than it needs to be, trying to push that parameter. So for the sake of staying in scope and staying brief, we are just going to hard code a message. Yep, that's fine. And so let's go back to our handlers and create a handler for this. Export const push notify equals. I guess I'm doing asyncs there. Fine. Whoops. And again, I should have just copied that to begin with. Notify. All right. fs.WriteFileSync. Read file sync. All right. And we are going to just assume that that's just going to work just the way it did. We should be able to read it straight from the directory that we wrote it to. Endpoint equals. All right, we're going to get rid of this payload log here. We are going to log. Okay, so we'll just make sure our endpoint looks right. Okay, so that is the handler. So I need to bind the handler to the route. So we'll go here and go push notify. There we go. There we go. Push notify. All right. All right. So get request. That's the path to it. Not taking any arguments. No auth. No validate for that matter. Okay, the right handler with it. Okay, let's rebuild the API. And as I said last time, I will try to be a bit more productive and go ahead and there we go. Okay, we're ready to reload. Okay, so oh, I didn't need to do this. Whoops. What I need to do was curl, but that's fine. It's fine, it doesn't matter. Oh, but yes it does, because I need to accept again. I wonder if that means it's let's see if I might screw up my endpoint. You know what, just in case, I'm not sure what the exact behavior here is going to be, so let's do this. Let's go rm cc happy endpoint. It should override it, but you know what, I'm just not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so we're going to go back to Chrome. We're going to allow, boom, we're going to check and make sure that it repropagated. Okay, so we got an endpoint again. Okay, good. So now what I need to do is I need to curl. (3001) push notify. What do you think? Is it going to work? And we got okay back. That's a good thing. Okay, and we got a buffer worth of endpoint. Let's push handlers. I'm pretty sure that's just gonna be this. Okay, so I just be able to two-string that buffer. And so while that's, we're going to rebuild that API and we're going to pull back up the web push documentation. Web push. This will get me close, won't it? Web push. That should do it. Great. That's that. Right, this is what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. Okay, I need to see about these keys. Should that have been, is that something that's coming back? Am I not trapping everything I need? Endpoint, says options. Application server key I already have. Okay, so I am not even getting those. I'm gonna assume that means I don't need them. It looks like all I'm getting is this endpoint back, but I guess we're gonna find out soon. Okay. So this is what I need. Let's just copy this over and get a good look at it. Alright, we need import web push from web push. Okay. Oh, I need config. I got config. Okay. Okay, so my endpoint. Alright, we'll move this into our handler one by one here. Okay, so now I can just do this. Great. I am not sure about this keys thing. User public encryption key, user auth secret. See, these aren't things that I was given. I'm gonna assume maybe that had to do with Google Cloud messaging, which web push was also used for. So I'm just gonna assume that we're good like that. Options, I don't need all of these. So let's get, we don't need the GCM key is that Google Cloud messaging key I just mentioned a few seconds ago. Okay, vapid details, I do need this. It can be, oh God, get the, I love my IDE. I love it. You know what, for now, we're just gonna do localhost. We'll just put our address in as it is at the moment, 3001. I'm just gonna leave it there for that. I don't think I need headers, timeout, content encoding has a default value. I don't think I need any of these. What I do need is my public and private key, which is in my config. I'm gonna pause you briefly so I can go and look and see what I called that property. Okay, so I just called that push, so I can do this. Const push equals config dot get push. Oh, I've already done it. Okay, fine. Vapid keys dot public. Okay, and now vapid keys dot private okay, I think the only other thing I need now is a payload. Get rid of this. I want to keep that. There we go. Push. Alright. I don't think I can just do this. Am I really? I'm going to be this vanilla. Yeah. Okay, I don't think I need to see the endpoint anymore. I'm curious if this returns anything. Web push send results. All right. I guess this is good enough for now. I guess we need to rebuild the API. And then we just need to curl the sucker. Done. All right. Taking bets here. Feels weird. I probably need to close the page first, don't I? Do I? Let's leave it open. Let's leave it open. Well, I don't see any notifications. Oh, shit. Whoops. Okay. Would be helpful if it was in not a buffer. It looks like I can put maybe a try catch around that. I probably should. Yeah, so let's do this. Let's go. I don't know if that's a promise or not. This is what I'm trying to figure out, I guess. When I am doing this console.log is what kind of thing is this? Error. Okay. It's probably in the documentation, but you know. Yeah, let's rebuild it again. While we're doing that, we will see if there is any information in the API about that. API reference, send notification, notes. You don't need to define a payload. It doesn't tell you what it's returning. Okay, that's fine. Options, returns. Oh, a promise. It returns a promise. Okay, in both cases, resolving or rejecting, you'll be able to access the following values on the return object or error. Okay, so it's going to have a status code, it's going to have headers, and it's going to have a body. Okay. It also makes my try catch here probably not as good as it could be. There. I think that would make it better. At any rate, let's see what happens. Okay. It needs these keys and I don't know what they are. Yeah. What do you think the chances are of just Googling this and okay. Ooh. He did not get voted up for this. Yeah, this is Firebase, so this is not really. Okay, let's check this link out here. Actually, let's start here. We are looking for let's make sure I'm looking for the right string there. Yeah, P256DH. P26, there we go. The web push protocol also states the public application server key must be sent in the crypto key header. Okay. Well, that just sounds like it's my public key again, doesn't it? The public application server key. Yeah. That's what it sounds like to me. Why would I need to include it 2 times in different places? I don't know. That seems shady. My understanding of it seems shady, I mean. Oh, get the fuck out of here. But I don't think it's going to hurt anything to try. And then auth. Let's see what it says about auth. Doesn't say anything about auth. I'm almost scared to look for the word auth because I'm sure there's going to be lots of other uses for it. Oh well. Auth. When we want to send a push message to a user with a payload, there are 3 inputs we need. Yeah, okay, so I'm wrong. It definitely is not the vapid key again. But what is it? Let's go back and look at this notification again. Definitely not there. Okay, let's do this. Push subscription. How to get auth and P25. I cannot remember. Is it DH? DH. I don't know, someone's already done a video on this stuff. Uh-oh. Hey, look, this... It's exactly, yes, right. Look, okay, so he's saying in Firefox 44 versus 45, right? Okay, so the answer, right or wrong? The reason is that the first versions of Push API only allowed you to send a signal without a payload, and then you have to fetch the notifications from your server. We introduced later to support payloads. Okay, well that doesn't help me. Okay, let's see about this, like he mentioned. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to save this, store it as a global variable, temp1, okay, getKey, auth. Oh, it's there. P256. Damn. DH. Oh, it's there too. That's great. But I gotta send them. Yeah. How do I send them? Okay. I'm so close here. Yes, okay. I honestly haven't used array buffers that much, so we're about to just like figure out how to do that. Parse array buffer. I don't think I can send an array buffer up in post. Dare I look at Stack Overflow to find out what an array buffer is for? Okay. The array buffer object is used to represent a generic fixed length raw binary data buffer. Okay, fine. It is an array of bytes, often referred to in other languages as a byte array. Okay, that does help. You cannot directly manipulate the contents of a buffer. Instead, you create one of the many typed array objects or data view object which represents the buffer in a specific format and use that to read or write the contents of the buffer. Okay. Alright, so if I want to read the buffer, okay, well that helped. Let's get rid of parse and put read. Great. Same place. Cannot directly manipulate. You can create. data view. Okay, so maybe we have to create a data view to read the array buffer. The data view provides a low-level interface for reading and writing multiple number types in a binary array buffer without having to care about the platform's endianness, which is a reference to UTF-8, I think. Okay, I think we need to be more specific about this. I'm not sure that this generic array buffer is, maybe there's something specific for that particular array buffer. Let's see, how to read P256DH array buffer. I'm gonna put toString in there. Stack Overflow. Let's see. Alright, so she writes, I have an array buffer which is returned by reading memory using Frida. That doesn't seem like JavaScript. I've never heard of Frida. Frida script? Let's do this. That still came back, but I'm not. AB toString. I can just use this. You think Google knows anything about array buffers? Okay, let's see if Google knows anything about array buffers. AB2STR. Okay, so AB2STR temp1 getKey auth. What do you think? Did I expect to see Chinese? Doesn't matter. Here, let's see what the P256DH looks like. 256DH. You see, it didn't work for that one. One is a 16, the other is a 65, so that must have something to do with it. Yeah. Huh. It clearly says UINT16 array. That can't be an accident. Okay, well, you know what? I think it looks like there's going to be a part 4. So, in part 4, we will continue to figure out what the hell. Well, actually, I'm going to figure it out offline and then come back and finish this up. So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions, code or otherwise related to the video, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below.